Good. All right, given a scenario, implement public key infrastructure. What is the purpose of a certificate signing request? To obtain a certificate. Next question. A company developed new software and would like the software to be validated. Which certificate should the company request? Go with code signing certificate. Because it's new code. New software, new code. So we need the code signing certificate. Oh, why, hello. All right. So which property of a computer certificate is now deprecated in favor for a more structured, widely accepted standard? I want to say common name has been replaced with certificates. Let's see, we'll go with this. Okay, a system admin must create 20 new certificates to accommodate web and file servers in different subdomains. This will cause a decrease in management overhead in the future, especially with plans to expand services in different branch locations. Which of the following types of certificates is most effective in alleviating management overhead in this scenario? Let's see. So there's 20 new certificates. So I feel like self-signed machine. Because you make the people sign them. The role of self-signed. Nope, it was probably machine. What are the components of a 3-level certificate authority hierarchy? Select that would apply. Registration, issuing. I don't remember either of those two, so it was probably root. Okay. An independent penetration company is invited to test the company's new banking application in development. For Android phones, it uses secure sockets layer, transport layer security certificates, penetration tests reveal the connections with clients who are vulnerable to man-in-the-middle attack. How can the company prevent this from happening in the public internet? I would say use extended validation. Really? Okay. A new business owner recently completed an extended validation process to set up a trusted, valid website for secure public communication. The owner complained about how a domain validation would have been an easier process. Analyze and explain how a domain validation represents an easier solution in this situation. Is an internal certificate authority. No? Okay. New employee at the office is having difficulty sending an encrypted email. The user confirmed with the system administrator the secure multipurpose internet mail extension plugin was installed on the email client. Analyze the scenario to determine the cause of the issue. There's probably an email certificate that he needs. Now let's go learn. A system admin must create 20 new certificates to accommodate web and file servers in different subdomains. This will cause a decrease in the management overhead in the future, especially with plans to expand services in different branch locations. Which of the following types of certificates is most effective in alleviating management overhead in this scenario? It was the wild card. A wildcard certificate is issued to the parent domain and will be accepted as valid for all subdomains since all are listed in one. This will reduce management overhead. Okay. Self-signed certificates are generated by the user. Sorry, guys. Or computer itself. Self-signed certificates will be marked as untrusted by the client web browser, such as when a user tries to access a website. A machine certificate is generated by a certificate authority specifically for a specific number of machines for a specific machine. Machine certificates can be issued to domain controllers, member servers, or client workstations. An email certificate typically uses a secure multi-purpose internet mail extension or pretty good privacy. To sign and encrypt email messages cannot be used by actual machines or servers. What are the components of a three-level certificate authority? So it was root hierarchy. So it's root, intermediate, issuing. Okay. The root certificate authority is the top level of the hierarchy. The root certificate authority is kept in a secure area. It's usually offline. Gotta stretch. Gotta stretch. Oh. It's usually offline to prevent compromise. Root certificate authority issues certificates for intermediate certificate authorities. The intermediate certificate authority or subordinate certificate authority is in the middle. The issuing certificate authority is the third level of the hierarchy. The certificate authority servers issue certificates to users, computers, and other enterprise services. Registration is a built-in function of certificate authorities. However, the function can be delegated to one or more registration authorities. These do not sign or issue certificates. Okay. So root, intermediate, and issuing. Got it. An independent penetration company is invited to test the company's new banking application in the development for Android phones. It uses secure sockets layer, transport layer security certificates. Penetration tests reveal the connections with clients are vulnerable to a man-in-the-middle attack. How can the company prevent this from happening in the public internet? Use certificate pinning. Pinning refers to several techniques to ensure it is inspecting the proper certificate. When a client inspects a certificate presented by a server or a code sign application, an example of this is submitting multiple public keys to an HTTP browser. Other transport layer security is more secure. Then secure socket layer, the public certificate establishes the connection. In this case, it does not matter if the certificate is compromised using secure socket layer or transport layer security. Extended validation is a more rigorous check on the subject's legal identity and control over the domain before issuing a certificate. Using a certificate chain can validate trust, but in a man-in-the-middle attack, the chain can be compromised and the user will not know the difference. A business owner recently completed an extended validation process to set up a trusted, valid website for secure public communication. The owner complained about how a domain validation would have been an easier process. Analyze and explain how a domain validation represents an easier solution in this situation. Email to a point of contact. Domain validation is proving the ownership of a domain, which may be proved by responding to an email to the authorized point of contact. The process is highly vulnerable to compromise. The business owner can use any third-party independently created self-signed certificate, but it will not be trusted. Third-party certificate authorities provide publicly available resources to establish trust with consumers. An email certificate typically uses a secure multi-purpose internet mail extension or pretty good privacy. Ugh. To sign and encrypt email messages, it is not required for simple domain validation tasks. An internal certificate authority is beneficial for authenticating and trusting internal users and computers. However, it needs a form of public trust for a public website. Servers designated as a root, intermediate, and issuing server are example of which type of implementation? Certificate authority. There are various formats for encoding a certificate as a digital file for exchange between different systems. One difference is storing both public and private keys versus only storing a public key, which of the following stores both public and private keys. Ooh. I want to say it's these two. Nope. A root certificate authority and intermediate certificate authority are fully developed. The system administrator turns off the root certificate authority server. Why is the root certificate authority server powered down? So we're preventing certificate compromise. Yeah. Public key infrastructure can produce many types of certificates with private public key pairs in contrast to a self-signed certificate. How does a wild card certificate benefit an organization? It reduces the management overhead. A company with multiple types of archived encrypted data is looking to archive the keys needed to decrypt the data. However, the company wants to separate the two. In order to heavily guard these keys, analyze the scenario to determine the most likely key replacement. Okay. Ugh. I think a key escrow would be what you want, yeah. Because you've got multiple types of archived encrypted data. Security engineer must install a X.509 certificate to a computer system, but it is not accepted. The system requires a base64 encoded format. How must the security engineer execute to properly install the certificates? I think it's a .pen file. Wow, yeah, I got that right. Base64 encoded format is pen file. Okay. Private key is being exported to transfer to another server. There's no .pfx option. Which of the following certificate extensions can support the transfer of this private key? Nope. Here's a CRT. Many certificates are used to verify identity. Which type of certificate could be issued to network appliances? A machine certificate, because it's going to other appliances. Okay, so it's .pfx and .p12. Okay, P12. There are various formats for encoding a certificate as a digital file for exchange between different systems. One difference is storing both public and private keys versus only storing a public key. Which of the following stores both public and private keys? So it's P12 and PFX. So all right, the public key cryptography standards PKCS number 12 or .p12 format allows the export of the private key with the certificate. This would be used either to transfer a private key to a host that could not generate its own keys or to backup archive a private key. The .pfx extension uses the same, I guess I meant binary format as .p12 and is commonly used in Windows. Okay, .pfx is used in Windows, macOS, and iOS. Commonly used the .p12 extension. The P7B format is a means of bundling multiple certificates in the same file, often used to deliver a chain of certificates. P7B files do not contain the private key. PKCS number 7 is the P7B format and is represented in Linux as a pen extension. Okay. So is P12. Private key is being exported to transfer to another server. There's no .pfx option. Which of the following certificate extensions can support the transfer of this private key? It's P12. A PFX or .pfx or .p12 extension is used to export a certificate along with its private key. File is password protected and can archive or transport a private key. Oh, wow. A P7B or .p7b extension bundles multiple certificates into a single file. It is used to deliver a chain of certificates that are trusted by the processing host. It does not contain a private key. A .cir or .cir extension is an actual certificate that contains information about the subject like name and location. It is written in either binary, dir, or ASCII data. A CRT or .crt extension is the same as a .cir file. It is a basic certificate that contains information about the subject. So it was P12, transferring certificate. Okay. Man. Going. In a public key infrastructure, which option best describes how users multiple certificate authorities share information and exchange certificates? It's the trust model. Maybe it was stapling actually. No, it was probably trust model. A network administrator is importing a list of certificates from an online source so employees can trust and communicate securely with public websites. Another set of certificates were imported in order to trust and securely communicate with intranet sites and other internal resources. Which type of certificate is currently being imported? SAN certificate? No? Which certificate allows the transfer of private keys and is password protected? PFX. Next. Company wants to ensure users can validate the website certificate and establish a secure connection to mitigate man-in-the-middle attacks on their public website. If a hacker compromises a certificate, which of the following will most likely circumvent the attack? Various formats for encoding the certificate as a digital file for exchange between different systems. One difference is storing both public and private keys versus only storing a public key. Which of the following stores both public and private keys? So it's the P12 and the PFX. A company has two web servers using a load balance configuration. Users report having periodic trust errors connecting to the website. Both servers are using server-only certificates. Which of the following actions would most likely resolve the issue? Use a wildcard certificate? No. An up-and-coming entrepreneur wants to build an online business. During creation of the website, the owner sends an email to a third-party certificate service and was able to set up a trusted and secure website in 24 hours. Which process supports the quick turnaround time for web servers setup? Registration authorities? No? Really? Okay. System administrator is installing a web server certificate and receives an error indicating the server does not accept wildcard certificates. After examining the certificate, the system admin notices problem, analyze the error to determine the specific location where the admin. It should be in the network. In the SAN. Secure Area Network. In a public key infrastructure, which option best describes how users and multiple certificate authorities share information and exchange certificates? Oh man, there's the trust model. Let's just went with that. Trust model is a concept of the public key infrastructure to show how users To show how users in different certificate authorities can trust one another, this is detailed in a certificate's certification path leading back to the root certificate authority. Key escrow means keys are held independently. In key management, this refers to archiving keys with a third party. Stapling is a term used with online certificate status protocol that uses a secure socket layer and transport layer security web server to make periodic requests from the certificate authority about certificate statuses to reduce resource demands. Key revocation refers to invalid keys and cannot be reinstated. The owner of certificate authority that issue the certificate can authorize a revocation. Okay, so it was root. A network administrator is importing a list of certificates from an online source so employees can trust and communicate securely with public websites. Another set of certificates were imported in order to trust and securely communicate with intranet sites and other internal sources. Resources. What type of certificate is currently being imported? It's the root. Public root certificates allow for users to trust a public website using a chain of trust to the root authority. Private organizations must load employee web browsers with internal root certificates to verify internal websites. Subject alternative name. Oh. Awkward. Subject alternative name is an extension field on a web server certificate and supports identification of the server by multiple subdomain labels. A computer certificate is only installed on a server for which it identifies. Computer certificates are not shared. A wildcard certificate describes certificate used with multiple subdomain of a domain. They are represented with an asterisk, such as asterisk.google.com. The company wants to ensure users can validate the website certificate and establish a secure connection to mitigate man-in-the-middle attacks on the public website. If a hacker compromises a certificate, which of the following will most likely circumvent the attack? The HPKP. HTTP public key pinning is a method of trusting digital certificates to bypass the certificate authority hierarchy and chain of trust and minimize man-in-the-middle attacks. The client stores a public key that belongs or is pinned to a web server. If visiting again and the key does not exist in the certificate chain, a warning is presented. The certificate revocation list is a list of certificates revoked before their expiration date if it does not prevent a man-in-the-middle attack. A certificate signing request is a base64 ASCII file sent by a subject to a certificate authority to get a certificate. Online certificate status protocol checks the status of an individual certificate rather than the whole CRL certificate revocation list. So, next. The company has 2 web servers using a load balance configuration. Users report having periodic trust servers connected to the web servers are using server-only certificates, which are the following actions will be most likely to result in the issue. Use correct certificate path. The certification path, also known as certificate chaining or a chain of trust, is a verifiable path of the leaf certificate to the root certificate authority. Both web certificates must show the same path. The certificate has been revoked. The revocation is verifiable on the chain of trust. Revoked certificates cannot be reused. Changing the trust model of a certificate authority hierarchy will require new certificates for all users and computers. Doing so is not feasible nor necessary. A wildcard certificate can validate the parent domain and all subdomains in a single certificate. This has no effect on the situation as the issue is related to the chain of trust. An up-and-coming entrepreneur wants to build an online business. During the creation of the website, the owner sends an email to a third-party certificate service and was able to set up a trusted and secure website in 24 hours, which process supports the quick turnaround time for web server setup. Domain validation. Domain validation is proving the ownership of a domain, which may be proved by responding to an email to the authorized point of contact. This process is highly vulnerable to compromise. Extended validation is a process requiring more rigorous checks on the subject's legal identity and control over the domain or software being signed. A registration authority is a server assigned the task of completing an identity check and submitting certificate signing requests on behalf of end users. However, registration authorities do not sign or issue certificates. Certificate registration is commonly initiated With a certificate signing request, this is a common process for internal and public certificate authorities, but a certificate signing request was not mentioned in this case. Keep going. A new business owner recently completed an extended validation process to set up a trusted, valid website for secure public communication. The owner complained about how a domain validation would have been an easier process, and Leslie explained how a domain validation represents an easier solution in this situation. It emails to a point of contact. Okay. Company deployed an internal web portal for company-owned software and services. When user workstations go to the website from Internet Explorer, the site is not trusted. Evaluate the scenario to conclude the likely cause of this issue. Okay, so deploy an internal web portal. Services. A system admin must create 20 new certificates to accommodate web and file servers and different subdomains. This will cause a decrease in management overhead in the future, especially with plans to expand services in different branches, locations. Which of the following types of certificates is most effective in alleviating management overhead in this scenario? It is the wildcard certificate. There are various formats for encoding a certificate as a digital file for exchange between different systems. One difference is storing both public and private keys versus only storing a public key. Which of the following stores both public and private keys? So it's P12 and PFX. I'm sure. A private key is being exported to transfer to another server. There is no PFX option. Which of the following certificate extensions can support the transfer of this private key? P12. System admin installed a new certificate onto a web server. Browsing to the website, the browser shows trust errors. After clicking on the certificate icon, the website's name and information look correct. How the system administrator troubleshoot further defined because you need to check the certificate chain. In a public key infrastructure, which option best describes how users and multiple certificate authorities share information exchange? Certificates. It is the trust model. What are the components of a three-level certificate authority hierarchy? So it's issuing, root, and intermediate. Let's go there. Company deployed internal web portal for company-owned software and services. When user workstations go to the website from Internet Explorer, the site is not trusted. Evaluate scenario to do the likely cause of the issue. The root certificate is not important. It's not important. I'm really thirsty. I'm gonna go grab my water real quick. I'll be back. Oh. Stretch. Stretch. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, hey, it is down here. That's funny. I left my water bottle down here. Didn't even know it. Mm. I'm sorry, guys. I'm hungry. I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but it doesn't fill me. Or like I eat a lot of it, and I'm full. But that fullness is temporary. It is the taste you can see, but it's like no substance in it. Mm. Hmm. Sounds familiar. Mm. I will accept. Mm. I can't remember who Chris guy is. Mm. Well, that's good on him. Air Force veterans struggle to find a job ends thanks to a DAV recruit military virtual job fair. Well, good on him. I'm a big sponsor of the DAV. They helped me out when I was in a bind. They fought for me when nobody else would. So, yeah, definitely for the disabled American veterans. Not sponsored by them in any way, shape, or form on Twitch, but they definitely help military members out. So I can appreciate that. All right, let's focus. Let's focus. Focus. So, public root certificates allow users to trust a website using the chain of trust to the root authority. Private organizations must load employee web browsers with internal root certificates to verify internal websites. Subject alternative name is an extension field on a web server certificate that supports the identification of the server by multiple subdomain. Is there like a, is there just something on my screen? Yeah, there is. I was like, how is there an accent on field? It was my screen. Probably should clean my screen. I'll do it someday. Subject alternative name is an extension field on a web server certificate that supports the identification of the server by multiple subdomain labels. A computer certificate is only installed on a server for which it identifies. Computer certificates are not shared. A CRL is a list of certificates revoked by the certificate authority and is no longer valid nor trusted. Browser will indicate a revoked certificate if revocation has been verified. An independent penetration company is invited to test the company's new banking application in development for Android phones. It uses secure sockets layer, transport layer security certificates. Penetration tests reveal the connections with clients were vulnerable to a man-in-the-middle attack. How can the company prevent this from happening in the public internet? Use certificate pinning. Oh, I'm trying to remember who this dude is. I totally forgot who he is, but I've seen that name before. Next question. A network administrator is importing a list of certificates from an online source so employees can trust and communicate securely with public websites. Another set of certificates were imported in order to trust and securely communicate with internet sites and other internal resources. What type of certificate is currently being imported? It is the root certificate. Yes. In a public key infrastructure, which option best describes how users and multiple certificate authorities share information and exchange certificates? That is the trust model. An up-and-coming entrepreneur wants to build an online business. During the creation of a website, the owner sends an email to a third-party certificate service and was able to set up a trusted and secure website in 24 hours, which process supports the quick turnaround time for web servers set up. It was domain validation. Next. A company has 2 web servers using a load balance configuration. Users report having periodic trust errors connecting the website. Both servers are using server-only certificates. Which of the following actions would most likely resolve the issue? Use the correct certificate path. All right. A company deployed an internal web portal for company-owned software and services. When user workstations go to the website from Internet Explorer, the site is not trusted. Evaluate the scenario to conclude the likely cause of the issue. The root certificate is not imported. Nobody uses Internet Explorer anymore. It's just Microsoft Edge. A company wants to ensure users can validate the website certificate and establish a secure connection to mitigate man-in-the-middle attacks on their public website. If a hacker compromises a certificate, which of the following will most likely circumvent the attack? HPKP. Hooray! Slowly going down. Starting knowledge is slowly getting lower. All right, so let's go back to our dashboard. Guys, look at this. We're 71% of the way through. Look at that. Operations and incident response. An hour and 18 minutes. Oh my gosh. That has to be the longest one. There is none longer. I don't think. Yeah. This is going to be the longest module ever. In you know what's funny? It's almost 11 o'clock. All right, I'll try and do as much as I can on here, but once I get to lunchtime, I'm probably going to go eat something because, like, the protein bar helps with controlling my temper, but I need some actual meal to make me feel a little bit better. This is just a temporary thing. So, a network security analyst for a large company is testing system vulnerabilities by capturing system memory live while simultaneously attempting different methods of penetration and simulated attacks. Network consists of only Windows machines. Assess the tools that the analyst could employ in this process for capturing system memory of machines in this network. All right, so if it's window only, DD is a Linux command, so I'd say no. I think memory dump, WinHex. I'm going to just stick with those two. No? Okay. All right. Penetration tester is testing network's vulnerability. The first test to perform is to test how well the network's firewall responds to a flood-based denial service attack. Discriminate between the software tools that can perform both packet sniffing and a DOS denial service attack, and the tools that cannot. So pinging. Ooh. Cuckoo? No. WinHex, maybe. All right, let's go to the company is going through excessive equipment and recyclables. Management will repurpose all the computer workstations and discard archive printed documents, which of the following can help achieve the company's goals. So they're going to repurpose all these and discard active printed documents. So they're trying to reuse that stuff. So active kill this software, and then they've got printed documents. They want to discard those. So paper shredder. Let's go with that. Boom. Look at that. I know something. Hooray! A cybersecurity investigator is investigating an incident. Considering the possibility of a man-in-the-middle attack, the investigator decides the first course of action is to check the MAC address of the default gateway internet protocol to ensure it is the true MAC address of the router, to rule out spoofing and dictate the topological tool or command the investigator can use for this purpose. They could do traceroute. I think curl would be better though. Really? It's ARP? It's like those other commands. Anyways, new cybersecurity analyst is working at his first job. The analyst requires a penetration test, reporting, and evidence gathering framework that can run automated tests through integration with Metasploit. Recommend a framework that will fill the analyst's needs. So I think autopsy is the one. No, is it the harvester? Oh, know all these programs and what they do. Gah. The new site includes a Windows domain controller, a dynamic host configuration protocol server, a Linux file server, oh my gosh, and a Windows web server. Oh, that's crazy mixed up. An independent auditing team arrived to assess basic security guidelines and company policies. Today, the auditing team will perform following tasks: dynamically assign addresses on client Windows computers and verify the installation of antivirus software. Which of these actions will provide any of the information needed for today's assessment? So they want to dynamically assign addresses on client Windows computers. Yeah, so you want to run ipconfig/all on a client computer because You want to see the addresses of all of them. This is multiple. Next question. A network technician working for a 3-letter intelligence organization has to troubleshoot a specialized air-gapped Linux device. Without asking any questions, the technician only has access to the CLI and needs to read a log file without a GUI and without network access. Outline the command that will easily enable a technician to view the file from the command line. Alright, so cat would help because it searches for a specific, but is that the file name? Read a log file. Yeah. I'm gonna go with cat, and it's gonna search for the security log file and everything. Cat's a really nice command. Question. Forensics analyst is attempting a live acquisition of the contents of the memory of a running Linux device in order to copy the blocked dev-mem file from memdump or DD. The analyst must install kernel driver. Recommend a framework that will enable the analyst to install a kernel driver. This is tough. I want to say it's a ZAP. So Z attack proxy. Let's do that. No? Dang it. Might be sniper. So, a network security analyst for a large company is testing system vulnerabilities by capturing system memory live while simultaneously attempting different methods of penetration and simulated attacks. The network consists of only Windows machines. Assess the tools the analyst can employ in this process for capturing system memory of machines in this network. So it's the FTK imager and the WinHex. WinHex is a hex and disk editor for Windows that, when pre-installed on a host system, allows live capture of system memory. FTK Imager is a commercial suite Windows-compatible forensic investigation software and includes the capability for live memory capture and saves the data in a proprietary .e01 file format. Linux-based tool memdump can run against the devmem device file provided a kernel driver such as pmem or fmem is installed. However, it is not compatible with Windows machines. Common Linux tool DD is a file conversion and copying tool. So memdump was part of Linux. Man, fix that one up. I knew DD was definitely Linux though, because I've done it before. But yeah, it copies the entire disk, including hard disk images, memory dump files such as the devmem device file. On Linux, it's not compatible with Windows machines. It was in map. Oh man. Doggone it. A penetration tester is testing a network's vulnerability. The first test to perform is to test how well the network's firewall responds to a flood-based denial of service attack. Discriminate between the software tools that can perform both packet sniffing and a DOS denial of service attack, and the tools that cannot. Select all apply. HPing and Nmap. I knew HPing for sure. Open source tool known as HPing has packet sniffing and injection capabilities as well as denial of service testing features built right in. Nmap is a versatile tool allowing users to perform a denial of service attack for testing purposes by using the Nmap scripting engine. The packet sniffing library and PCAP can be added to Nmap to provide packet sniffing and injection capability. Cuckoo is a sandbox for analyzing malware safely. It cannot be used for denial of service attack or packet sniffing or injection. WinHex is a disk and a hex editor, often used for digital forensics and data recovery. It was ARP. Okay, a security investigator is investigating an incident considering the possibility of a man-in-the-middle attack. The investigator decides the first course of action is to check the MAC address of the default gateway internet protocol to ensure it is the true MAC address of the router. To rule out spoofing, dictate the topological tool or command the investigator can use for this purpose. ARP. The ARP command is a transfer control packet Internet Protocol command line utility for viewing and modifying the local address resolution protocol ARP cache, which contains recently resolved MAC addresses of Internet Protocol hosts on the network. The route command line utility views and configures the host's local routing table. The command does not output MAC addresses by default. The curl command line utility transfers data over networks using a variety of protocols, including FTP, FTPS, HTTP, HTTPS, IMAP, IMAPs, LDAP, POP3, and more. Holy cow. The scanless Python-based command line utility is a port scanner that runs and scans through third-party websites to evade detection. It does not check hosting records or DNS services. Should have gone with our sniper. A cybersecurity analyst is working at his first job. The analyst requires a penetration test, recording and evidence gathering unit framework that can run automated tests through integration with Metasploit, recommended framework that will fulfill the analyst's needs. Sniper. Sniper is a framework designed for penetration tests, reporting, and evidence gathering, and can integrate other tools such as Metasploit to run automated tests. Autopsy is a digital forensic platform with a graphical user interface. It investigates events on a device. Nessus is a commercial vulnerability scanner that scans the device and raises an alarm if it detects vulnerabilities on any device of the network that a malicious hacker could exploit. The Harvester is a tool for gathering open source intelligence for a particular domain or company name. It works by scanning multiple public data sources, gathering emails, names, subdomains, internet protocols, URLs, and other relevant data. Next, volatility. Forensics analyst is attempting a live acquisition of the contents of the memory of a running Linux device in order to copy the blocked devmem file with memdump or dd. The analyst must install a kernel driver. Recommend a framework that will enable the analyst to install a kernel driver. It is Volatility. Volatility framework is widely used for system memory analysis and can install the pmem kernel driver, allowing tools such as memdump or dd to access the devmem device memory file on Linux. Metasploit project is a cybersecurity framework that offers information on security flaws and assists penetration testing and creation of IDS signatures. Sniper is a framework designed for penetration tests, reporting, and evidence gathering, and can integrate with other tools such as Metasploit to run automated tests. The Z attack proxy, developed by the Open Web Application Security Project, provides scanning tools and scripts for web application and mobile app security testing. A white hat penetration tester is simulating an attack to check for vulnerabilities. The first step is to determine if the pen tester can scan for ports or services that have been left open without being detected by the intrusion prevention system. Recommend a tool that fits the pen tester's requirements. Scanless, because that's the Python one, goes through other domains. Next question. An administrator of a Linux network is writing a script to transfer a list of local host names contained in a file called host names directly into the syslog file. Predict the CLI command the emit is likely to use to accomplish this. Because this is just going to show the lines. I'm going to go with logger. Because this one searches for host names. This one searches for like the first or the last 15, because it's the tail. Last 15 files, and then, or like lines, and then this would look for the first 15 lines. So none of that made sense to transfer a list of local host names. So next. Cybersecurity investigator is investigating a breach, and the method of entry is not yet known. The investigator decides to begin by checking for suspicious entries in the routing table. Select the command line tool that will enable the investigator to directly access the table. want to say trace route. It's route. I was like, that's not spelled right. Right. A government agency is getting rid of older workstations. The agency will donate these workstations along with other excess computer systems to nearby schools. Management reminds the system administrators about the data sanitization and disposal policy. What policy items are applicable for these IT systems prior to donating to the schools? All right. Well, they want to be able to reuse them. So if you use a paper shredder, that's not going to work. Use a CD shredder. CD shredder would get rid of the CDs. I would just go with this method here. What are they donating? They're just donating older workstations. So it should be just that. I mean, if there's paper on the workstations or whatever, shred that. If there's CDs, shred them. Really? Okay. Well, anyways, guys, that is it for now. I will have to go. Testing reporting evidence. Yeah, that's never it. Thank you so much for your time. I will see you all later. I hope you have a great day. All right, be safe out there. It's a crazy world. All right, bye.